Alright, today's quick video, we're going to keep this pretty short and simple, is the urinary system. It's a very complicated system when you get into the little bits and pieces. We're just going to look at its big job. Okay? Big job of the urinary system is to take wastes out of your blood, things that aren't supposed to be there, and give them a place to get out of the body. Okay? So this is termed a lot of times as an excretory system, as an exit. It's going to get rid of it, excrete it outside the body. Okay? Now, what happens is we take all of these things outside from the blood. Everything where one system touches another goes through the blood. We talked about how nutrients get absorbed into the blood. We talked about how air gets absorbed into the blood, how water gets absorbed into the blood, and those sorts of things, okay? Well, what's going to happen here is that the urinary system is going to do the exact opposite. The way that we absorb things is also going to be the way we dump things out of the blood, okay? Now, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking the digestive system and the urinary system are somehow attached. Because one, we get rid of feces, one, we get rid of urine. We think that they're somehow connected. They're not, except through the blood. The digestive system absorbs things into the blood. The urinary system's job is to get rid of things from the blood. Okay? They do not touch each other in any way except through the blood. Okay? Now, the way this happens, the urinary system is here. It consists of the kidneys, two tubes called ureters, or ureters, that go down and attach to a part that we all know about, our urinary bladder, which is what holds the urine until we're ready to get rid of it. Okay? And then that's got one tube that leaves called the urethra. That urethra, its only job, it's just a tube, is to get the urine outside the body. The urinary bladder, its only job is to hold the urine until we're ready to get rid of it. The ureters, only one job. Take the urine from the kidneys down to the bladder. So those parts are all easy. Those are your vocab words. Those are easy definitions right there. They're no more complicated than that. Okay? The only thing that's kind of cool here is how your bladder can stretch. Okay? Your bladder stretches the more you fill it up. It kind of fills up like a balloon. When you don't have to pee, it's basically empty. Okay? As you dump more urine into it, it blows up. Now, the way that works and the way you understand that you can pee is something we'll talk about off video, okay? Or the fact that you need to go pee, that sort of thing. We'll talk about that off video. Okay? The real work goes on up here in the kidneys. Now notice what is also shown in this picture. It's not just the pieces of the urinary system. There are major blood vessels involved here because the urinary system connects to the bloodstream. These blood vessels are actually two of the biggest in your body. The red one is your descending aorta. That's coming straight down from your heart. Okay? The blood that's going out towards your body, part of it takes a detour into your kidneys, which are here in your back. Right about here, okay? Not down on your hips, but up above on either side of your spine, okay? Takes a trip down here, and part of the blood goes out into the kidneys to be washed and cleaned before going to the rest of your body. So we've got the descending aorta that feeds the kidneys, and then we have the inferior vena cava. This one's going back up toward the heart. So that blood, a little bit of it gets washed all the time. It's in a little short circuit. It goes down from the heart to the kidneys, washed, sent back up, spread it out through the body, okay? All of it's about taking trips around in a circle, circulatory. Okay? So we feed blood to these guys. Now, what they are is they're a filter system. They're exactly like, they're setting up the exact opposite of what the lungs did. We wanted to get things into the blood. And the jejunum, we wanted to get things into the blood. And the colon, we wanted to get water into the blood. Okay? Well, in the kidneys, we want to get stuff out. But it still works the same way. We got to put two tubes next to each other. We put one that's high in the waste that we want to get rid of. In this case, the blood is full of it this time. Okay? Everything that the blood has brought back from your cells when it's picking up the garbage, okay? It's bringing back nitrogen waste. It's bringing back carbon dioxide. It's bringing back all sorts of things that don't need to be there. If there are things that are in your system that shouldn't be there, alcohol, drugs, those sorts of things, those are all floating around in your blood, well, it comes back to your kidneys. Okay? So the blood is one of the two tubes. Remember, the whole idea is to put two tubes next to each other, one that's high in something, one that's low in it. And what's going to happen? Diffusion is going to fill up the one that's low. Okay? Now the kidneys have this really cool effect. The blood is going to come in high in stuff we don't want anymore. Okay? We're going to put another tube next to it. Now this system of two tubes that we put next to each other is more complicated than this because the tubes kind of twist around each other and do all kinds of crazy things. That system where we put two of those tubes next to each other, one for blood, one for waste, is called a nephron. That's one of your vocab words, okay? It's the system where we have two tubes One blood, one waste. Now, the really cool thing about the kidneys is it's a one-way thing. Okay? That waste tube, we constantly empty it. So does it ever have, just like flushing a toilet, you constantly empty the toilet, right? So is it full of nastiness all the time? No. So when the blood comes by, it's always got more junk in it than the freshly cleaned out nephron, right? So where's the gradient? Always. Blood has always got the stuff we want to get rid of. The nephron is always empty, because it's always being emptied. It's a tube that drains. Okay, it all goes down the drain. So what happens? The waste dumps into the nephron and out it goes. Okay? And then it just collects into this tube, gets into a bigger and bigger tube, dumps into the bladder, and out it goes through the urethra. Okay? So this nephron is actually setting up the opposite of what the lungs, the jejunum, and the colon have done. Puts a capillary next to a waste tube and diffuses out the wastes and drains it. That waste eventually becomes your urine. Okay? Now, what the kidney is also doing is it's taking enough of the water out of your bloodstream to be able to flush, basically flush the toilet, wash the tubes out, right? So it takes just enough. This is why you end up with water as the main component of your urine, is it's using that to wash out the tubes of the nephrons and then out of the ureters and to fill up the urinary bladder. That's what helps us wash it out. This is why your pee ends up different when you've been drinking a lot of water and when you haven't. Is, hey, if we got a lot of extra water, let's clean the pipes real well so the urine comes out very clean. Well, if we don't have enough water, well, let's just use a little bit of water, just enough to clean out the tubes. And so the urine comes out dark and dirty and smelly. Okay? So it makes a lot of sense. That's really all there is to the main function of the urinary system. It's the exact opposite of our lungs, our jejunum, and our colon. It sets up two tubes, one with stuff we don't want, and one that's empty, so it will diffuse out. That's all we got to talk about the urinary system.